What's more impressive? Setting a venue record for scored points or setting an all-time school record for blocks in a game?
Blocks are cooler.
Blocks.
So
I know offense sells, but 16 blocks in a game is physical dominance.
Because I don't know. What was the final number for the points scored?
103 points, which was
and then how many blocks?
Sandy and John Black Pavilion record, and the first 100-point game in SEC play for Ole Miss since 2001.
How many blocks?
Hold on. Jamarian Sharp set a school record for 9 blocks in a game.
In only 17 minutes.
All right.
And the team total set a program record with 16 blocks in a game.
9 blocks doesn't happen all the time. I mean, that's a lot of block shots. 103 points. I mean, I know it's a pavilion record, but I mean, if you had said like it was 125 points, I might have gone with that. But no, 9 blocks, definitely better.
The 16 blocks tied the SEC record for most blocks in a conference game, all teams, and it ranks 5th in SEC history in all games for block shots.
Yeah, that's cooler.
Was it held by Jarvis Fernardo? Just by himself in one game that I don't remember? Might have had 15, I don't know.
I mean, we can go with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that Jamarian Sharp had that game when he was taken out of the starting lineup. And then after the game, he was talking to the media where he said he went up to Chris Beard and was like, hey, coach, like, you don't have to worry about my mentality taking me out of the starting lineup. Like, I'm good. We're fine. I'll play hard when you put me in. No big deal. And then he goes out and breaks a school record. That, you know, all this talk about, like, selfishness and stuff in this era, there's at least one young person who has played and started a lot of college basketball games in his career that plays his best, at least for his current team, after getting taken out of the starting lineup. And having the, I'm good, coach, just tell me what you need me to do, I'm good mentality. It's pretty cool.
Stat line for Jamarian Sharp last night, 17 minutes and 25 seconds, 3 of 4 shooting the ball, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 8 points, 9 blocks. His plus-minus in the game was 6. Really got it done on the defensive end. So he had the 9 blocks. You had 2 blocks for Brandon Murray, and those were like trail play blocks. Alan Flanagan had 3 in the game. You had 1 from Jalen Murray. Did Cisse have? Cisse didn't have a block in the game. Musa, they had 16 blocks in a game, and Musa Cisse didn't have one. But look, our friend Mark Wise said he laughs when coaches talk about rebounding and defense being keys to winning basketball games. He said, you got to make shots. Ole Miss was out-rebounded 44-34 last night, including 26 offensive rebounds for Florida. Now, there were a couple of possessions where Florida tipped it around the rim like 4 or 5 times and either finished with a make or didn't finish with a make, where they got like 4 offensive rebounds on a single possession. 26 offensive rebounds by the opponent is not a recipe for winning a lot of games. But to the point of making shots, Ole Miss shot 59% for the game. They shot 40% from 3 and 85% from the free throw line. That is a formula for winning games.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were above their heads either. I mean, less than a third of their shots were from the three-point line. So they were getting good looks at the basket. Jamin Breakfield's mid-range game was really good last night.
His was, and I thought Alan Flanagan's was too. He only took 1 3. Borky, he had like 3 15-foot baseline turnaround fadeaway shots that were just like, didn't even think about touching the rim.
And that's why, I mean, their point totals in shot numbers and stuff and percentages are all really good, especially compared to what they were a year ago. But it's because the quality of looks that they get. They're not just playing out of their minds. Last night, they scored 103 points, but I didn't think, ooh, that's just a couple of guys getting hot. They can't replicate that. I didn't think that. It was offense that played downhill. 40% from three is not going to happen every night, but they were good looks. And 40%'s not 55 or 60, it's a percentage.
It was 8 of 20.
Yeah. That's a percentage that they've done a lot this year, but it's good quality looks during the course of an offense, but they're not dependent on it. They are, they're really good, a really good offensive basketball team, I should say, especially when you're getting the production that you got out of Brakefield last night, scoring at all three levels. If he can give you that on a nightly basis, which he has lately, this team's going to win a very good amount of games.
28 points last night for Jamin Brakefield on 11 of 16 with 2 made threes. 23 points for Matthew Morrell. He was 8 of 12 with 3 made threes and a perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 17 last night for Alan Flanagan. And 12 for Jalen Murray, also had 8 assists in the game. Ole Miss had 17 assists on their 39 makes. So you had 4 guys in double figures. Then you had Brandon Murray with 9 points, Jamarian Sharp with 8 points, and 6 more for Musa Cisse. The scoring was pretty balanced in that game last night, and it was a must-have win. I will use the exact same phrase that I used to describe Mississippi State's crowd to describe Ole Miss's crowd. Good but not great in terms of numbers, like actual bodies in the stands, but a really engaged, really big energy crowd last night. Students for Ole Miss don't start class until January 20th or 21st. It's like still another week and a half away. And student section was full. They got winter session going, so there are people on campus, but it wasn't one of those they're jammed in like sardines all the way around the lower bowl. There's a good crowd. 8 o'clock tip. We said yesterday, no excuses on the crowd. Both crowds could have been better last night.
Need to be better.
But they were still pretty good. Still pretty good in both places.
And Saturday, a real opportunity, right? Hayden had already mentioned earlier that State has sold out the reserve seats. That team deserves that. They've absolutely earned it. And, for Ole Miss, I expect a really good one. Vanderbilt's a bad team, but as we've talked about this week, Vanderbilt is a bad basketball team. But if Ole Miss is going to make the NCAA tournament, Saturday is vital. Like, they have to win that game. That is a must-win. They're in the 240s or something in the net. You cannot lose to Vanderbilt, and they're 0-2 in the league, but they're close losses. Like, they're not totally, completely incompetent to where, you can put your shoes on the wrong feet, go out there and still win by 15. So they need a crowd, too, because as we talked about yesterday and as we've demonstrated earlier with the who lost and all that, and we've got somebody on the text line talking about it, a home crowd in basketball impacts the outcome of the game. So even though it's Vanderbilt and they're kind of stinky and you may want to not go to that game, Vanderbilt can beat you if you let them. So don't let them, because if you do, you're probably not making the tournament. It's that simple. It's a must-win for Ole Miss on Saturday. You have to beat Vanderbilt on Saturday. Have to.
And so upcoming schedules: Mississippi State, Alabama, and then what's right after that? Hey, Dad, you remember?
At Kentucky.
Okay. Need to try and take advantage of.
And then Vanderbilt at home.
Yeah, need to try and take advantage of home floor on Saturday.
Yeah.
Copy and paste what I just said for State's
2-2 after the first
game.
4. Yeah, I think if you're 2-2 after the first 4, I think you're fine. You're fine. But then you play Vanderbilt, and you absolutely cannot lose. That's the problem with Vanderbilt. Everybody is. You absolutely cannot lose to them.
Noon tip on Saturday for Vandy and Ole Miss. SEC Network game if you want to watch it. 7:30 tip Saturday night for Alabama and Mississippi State.
Should be a lively crowd.
Be raucous.
I'd say raucous is the right word, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did Banana Man get arrested and go to jail and then get bailed out of jail? Because he took a selfie video. Was that in front of the jail? Or was that a dorm or something?
I know that Brandon Walker tweeted that he would pay the bail and any legal fees that were needed, but maybe he got off without doing so.